Facebook. How are you? You see who our guest is tonight. We are here. Hi.
We got all these cameras.
Yeah, the cameras are in action.
The cameras are here.
Yeah.
And I am excited.
Thank you for coming.
Finally. Finally.
Listen, yes, I am so excited that you're here.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here with my big sis.
So listen, this is Hosanna4Youth. Our platform is creating, doing a positive impact in the lives those that's been impacted by incest, molestation, and rape by a family member or a trusted family friend. We've been on the ground doing the work, reaching the community, talking to people, having the conversation with those. For some reason, I'm getting this bad connection. Hold on. Having the conversation with the community so that other people can transition and heal from what they're going through. So, hold on one second. We having some technical difficulties. I've been on here all this time.
Now
the guest is here. This doggone internet want to act a donkey. But we on. We got somebody on right there. We got it. We strolling.
Y'all see us just fine? Hey!
So
we got to get one device together. That's all.
All right. Give me 1 minute, and it's checking my connection, and we'll see. If not, we'll post it to Instagram later. Okay. So we'll just go on. I was just trying to give them a update of the organization and what we do and how long we've been here and everything like that. But we're going to jump right in because we're running close to time. This doggone camera. Oh, child, the devil is ugly. You is not going to steal our joy. It's done. Here we go. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So, I asked you to come.
Yes, you asked me to come.
I wanted to talk to you. We talk on so many other platforms, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk to people who've been impacted and share your story.
Okay. So for those, I know my people over here know who I am. So for the people over here. So my name is Ederick Johnson. Currently, I am the Kiki Project Coordinator at the Pride Center, where I am able to service my LGBTQ community with spreading the information and knowledge as it relates to safe-sex practices, education as it relates to HIV, AIDS, STDs, STIs, and hepatitis C. So as it relates to my story, as it relates to being molested at an early age, so I will never forget it. It was the summer of 2002. It was in July. And that's when it started, and it happened over the course of years, but it was from a person who was trusted in the family, and it went on for many years. And the thing that struggled with was it rape, or because I don't care what anybody say. Before I was touched, I was always gay. From when I came out my mama's womb, honey, I was gay. So the thing that confused me was, hold on, can't see her. Well, I'm her guest. But you can't see her? Okay.
I'm his guest.
So the thing was, I was always confused. Like, okay, was this rape? Because I'm gay, and I'm like, I know I didn't enjoy it. For a person to force himself, at that time I was 9, 10, to force himself on me. So mind you, he's way older than me. So his penis and my 9-year-old behind. Like, that wasn't a pretty sight.
Right.
And that happened for many years. That happened from 2002 all the way up until I believe I was in the 7th or 8th grade when the person moved away. And I've always talked about my story to different people, but it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I actually came out. Actually, no. I came out with it last year on social media, because I was talking to my uncle I was on my way to church. I was talking to my uncle Bobby, and we got into a conversation about my childhood. And he was like, "Well, is there anything else that I need to know about your childhood?" And that's when I expressed and told him what happened. And after that, it was like a relief. You know, because I've always told people, like my grandmother knew, but I was like, just hush, don't tell nobody. And then after talking to my uncle, I was finally able to be like, you know what, I'm going to share my story with someone to let them know that, you know, they didn't take my voice.
Exactly. And that's the biggest thing that we notice, even with my own story. I'm a survivor. One of the things that we run into a lot with survivors, their voice is gone, and they've been living in that silence for a very long time. So that creates an atmosphere of darkness and something that they try to find something to suppress all of that. And so that's huge that you decided to use your voice and you decided to say something. Now, what I want to ask you is what helped you find your voice and what put you at that point?
I've always known from an early age that, and actually no, let me rephrase that. I just realized my true potential, that what I put out on Facebook, people gravitate to, and they always respond to my petty posts. So I was like, so I started posting things that we as a black culture don't talk about, like
which is incest molestation.
Yes, which is incest. And I did a segment last year. What do you do when the predator wears a collar? I did that segment pertaining to the church. No, the person who molested me was not a preacher or a minister. He was far from the church, a heathen. But that's the thing that we don't talk about. We don't talk about incest, molestation. We don't talk about those things. So I was like, you know what? Let me start targeting these issues.
Yes.
And I was like, you know, maybe someone from my story can be healed, can be like, you know what? It's okay.
Yes.
I can get through this. I can live. I can survive this.
And I believe that one of the things that you said that I want to piggyback on is being 9 years old. Being 9 years old at the time, what was that like? When I say what was that like, what happened from 9 years old?
So basically, it will be like, oh, they can't see you there.
I'm sorry.
So basically, after that, it would take place. I won't give this.
Yes,
but it was like I hate to see this person come around.
Now you know how many kids are in that situation right now today?
A lot. And this is the thing that I dislike. The reason why I didn't come out, because you will always have some family members to be like, I don't believe you, or you probably asked for it. Because a lot of times when we see young girls get raped, the first thing somebody say, well, she probably asked for it, look how she dressed. Just because a girl dresses provocatively, yes, and just because a male is gay and someone forced themselves on, that does not give you the right to do that.
Especially being a family member or a trusted family,
yes,
friend. And a lot of times we end up allowing these people in our family structures, making our children entrust these people just because of the blood.
Yeah. And I tell people, somebody told me this. They was like, you know what? You should be able to trust because blood is thicker than water. And I said, blood is thicker than water, so is cum.
Petty.
I'm just saying.
Petty.
I'm just saying. Because
Petty.
my thing is this.
Petty.
I'm just saying. Because we always say, well, you know what? You can trust. And it was for a long time. I was very uncomfortable being around males. Mm-hmm. Even though I was gay, right, I would always cling toward the older women because I felt safe there. Mm-hmm. I did not feel safe even with male family members. I had 2 male family members that I felt safe with, and that was it. Growing up, wow, only 2.
Wow.
You know, and I'm still struggling with that. You know, still struggling with that till, you know, to this day. You know, I'm in counseling. Mm-hmm. I still go to counseling even after all these years.
I do too.
You know, because it leads you to other traumatic things in your life. It triggers relationships. It will, when you're raped, you lose your trust. So my thing is this: how, you know, you're in a relationship. You know, one of the things that builds a relationship and keeps a relationship is trust.
Exactly. And when the trust is gone in the family, as a kid, comes fear. Okay? And when you're a kid and you have that fear, and your parents don't listen to you, or whoever.
Well, I can't say my parents. Actually, my mother found out on Facebook.
When you put it on?
My mother found out on Facebook. And I don't know if you all remember when I posted it, but I had a cousin who, she needs Jesus. She went back and forth.
Yes, she did. I saw it.
And she was like, well, you know, she didn't believe it. And that the most difficult thing is not being raped. The most difficult thing is to be raped and you go tell someone of your family and they don't believe you. That's the most hurtful thing.
What I saw sitting in this seat on the other side as Hosanna4Youth, I saw family members actually make the victim feel worse than the predator or the perpetrator. And that's one thing. If I can get out of this conversation tonight with our guest, is when we encounter this in our family or this conversation again, because you will hear it again. When you encounter this conversation again, or you meet someone that go all the way around, that brings this conversation to you, the family needs to be a little bit more supportive.
But you know why we cannot be supportive? I mean, even if you go back to slavery times, even if you go back, first of all, we can't be supportive of that because sex, the conversation is still a taboo subject in the black household.
True.
So even if you look at TV shows from the 1950s and 60s when they had mothers and fathers and they showed them in the bedroom, there was two beds. There was two beds.
You're right.
If you remember, there were two beds. Even then, sex was even when folks were, and that's why I tell older women be talking about the younger girls, I'm like, you can't talk about the younger girls because y'all were doing the same thing. The only difference between y'all two is the older women, they would have children from other people's husbands but put it in their husband's last name.
Okay, Patty. You know what?
But where's the lie?
There's no lie, and it's never a lie when you come. It's never no lie. When you be on your social pages and I'm listening to you, it's never no lie. It be 100% accurate information.
Just like the preacher said, if I'm at your door, just say ouch. If I'm not, a hurt dog will holler.
Back to these doggone perpetrators.
Yes, the perpetrators.
See, one thing about me with my situation, I never was in a position to tell. That's why it says I never told. I kept going back to the cousin house, but then we didn't know anything. I never told. By the time I did say something, I had been sexually molested, raped, penetrated, whatever, all of that. You know what I'm saying? And I was a grown woman when I told. And that was the hardest part for me.
And I think, for a lot of us, and I don't know who may be listening tonight, but I just want everyone to understand and to know that, you have a voice. And that's why, even though we have this thing with Bill Cosby, and you have people on his side and all, my thing is this, and I don't care whether it's black, brown, I joke with the whole Bill Cosby thing, but the thing of the matter is this, if he did it, I don't care. And that's the thing in our generation, in our culture, we like, well, why you wait till all this time? A lot of people ask me that, why you wait till now? Because I finally found my voice.
Yeah. My voice got lost in dropping out of high school, going back to high school, dropping out of this, going back to that, suppressing it with drugs and being promiscuous and all that stuff like that. So everybody's journey with this thing is different. what the whole thing comes back around to is our interpretation as family members and as a culture is not supporting, it's not acknowledging. I mean, I deal with on a day-to-day basis how those persons that's been victimized is hurting and need their family. But the family is rather picking and choosing who they will support, who they like the most, and, you know, assuming. While a victim, myself, is over here hurting. It happened to me. My family, you know, they chose sides. And it's not fair, and it's not right. And when you're going through this right here, the biggest thing you need is support, your family support. So Hosanna4Youth has started creating that atmosphere so that families, the whole family, can heal. Because, see, just because I was the victim don't mean it didn't affect
other people
in the family. Hell, they might have been victims themselves as we go back.
Because if you look at it, we come from a generation, we come from a culture, we come from a group of people that says whatever happened in this house stays in this house. And that's the reason why a lot of us are going through these things, because we're afraid to say something because of that been beat in our heads. And that goes back to slavery. The slave master used to tell, when he used to rape his slave, he used to tell the black girls, don't tell nobody. What happens here stays here. And it's trickled down from slavery down from slavery to Reconstruction, from Reconstruction to Jim Crow, from Jim Crow to civil rights, from the civil rights movement to equality movement, from the equality movement to the Black Lives Matter movement. It's been going on.
It's been going on. It's time, like our last guest said, let's lift up the rugs. We pulling the rugs up. It's time we talk about it. It's time that we make it okay to talk about sex. It's time that we say no more family secrets. It's time we expose the conversation. It doesn't matter whether you black, white, or whatever. We're just using scenarios so you all can see that in our own community, we got hurting people, or people that's trying to heal, or those that done heal and ain't telling nobody and not helping nobody. We need to shake this up a little bit more. It's time to have the conversation.
Yes, and that's why I love about the Kiki Project, because we're having these conversations. We're going into our schools, we're going into the houses, we're going into our churches. That's where we need to go. That's where we need more of. We need to go to our churches, our black churches.
Yes.
Because a lot of, if we want to be real and want to be honest, a lot of this stuff is happening in our churches.
Well, you gotta realize one of the things is that I can point out is that the church is the place where hurt folks go and gather. So hurt folks are in there. You know, you got all type of folks.
You got all type of folks.
And we got to stop thinking that just because we are in the church, that stuff has just been wiped away and it's all clean.
Because the churches now, they are running on what I like to call an orgasmic experience. They're suffering. The church today is suffering with spiritual masturbation. And the reason why I say the church is suffering with spiritual masturbation, like the preacher says, "Stay with me, you shall be blessed." What spiritual masturbation is, I'm going to give you this hip and this loving type of religion, this loving type of God to make you feel good for a second. And then once it's over, there's no substance. That's what masturbation is, and that's what the church is doing to your mind. The church is masturbating with our minds. They're giving us this feel-good type of love. They're giving us this. They're painting this picture of this God who's so omnipotent and so mighty and so loving. They're painting a false picture with us, with our minds. That's what I like about that.
Well, one of the things is that I can agree, you know, we have to be conscious of our surroundings and know what's happening. Going into the church, you got to know why you're going there.
And go there for that purpose.
And go there.
You take the meat, throw away the bones. And light lately is more bones than meat.
Ooh, Lord have mercy. Honey, don't get on my Facebook with this foolishness. This is nothing but 100% truth. It's got to be a reason my little cameras and stuff is acting up right now.
Hold on, let's see. Somebody said the family don't want the shame on them. That's what Coco Black said. Coco Black also said 100, speaking 100. And it causes you to block many, many blessings. They're coming.
I'm having so many difficulties over here. And I'm going to tell you like this. Thank you, Coco Black. Yes, a lot of families don't want the shame on them. But when it all boils down, it's like, let's get the shame out, not ostracize the victim. Let's get the shame out. Let's point out the Uncle Nasties and the Auntie Nasties and all of that. Let's let them get they need therapy.
But I think we're afraid to do it because the circle will keep on repeating itself because they haven't dealt with their issues.
Well, that's true. That is.
And they probably don't like my uncle used to tell me, you can't expect somebody to give you something that they have not yet experienced. You can't expect a mother or father to love you unconditionally if they haven't been taught to love unconditionally, if they don't know what love is.
Well, we gotta start somewhere. Where do we break the cycle?
We open up and talk about it.
So that's the part that we're here today. That's the part why I stand in the paint for Hosanna4Youth. This organization is a 501c3 in your community in Broward County, state of Florida. Listen, it's time that I want to connect with other victims, if you're still there, other survivors, if you're out of there, so that we can help other people heal. It's time because we have a whole generation of people that's coming up behind us. If I didn't say anything about my story, just trust me on this. You can best believe I'm not the only victim. That just means he just kept doing what he was doing, and I don't get it. You know what's funny? I don't get invited to the Thanksgiving dinner. You know why? Because I'm the one that says something. But guess who get to come?
You don't. Mine's been in and out of jail.
Well, that's enough. Okay, I wish you. I need you to come back because I gotta say this. We have so many young ladies that are incomplete within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they are looking for this love
in the wrong place. Oh my God, revelation! Some people are attracted to what hurt them. I got about you. Hey God! Oh my God!
I had to stand
oh my God! Oh!
I had to stand up on that one.
People!
Yes.
People are attracted to what has hurt them, what has pained them, what has caused them strife. That is why they flock to people. That's why you have these young girls who get these these men who are nothing because that's who their fathers are. That's who they saw. That's what they are attracted to. People are attracted to what has hurt them. But I hear the Lord crying out and saying, break every chain. We're going to break that right now.
We're going to break it.
I felt my help. I felt my help right there.
I wish my cameras was working like they supposed to.
When you've been hurt when you've been hurt long enough, that's what we look for. That's what we look for. Oh,
yes. That's what we look for. And I'm gonna say this. Oh goodness, I'm gonna say this. Whew, honey. What I was gonna say about the women that when they looking for the relationship, they looking in all the wrong places, and you look for an incomplete man to help this incomplete woman, and y'all ain't thinking about the kids.
Nope.
You just want to look like we got it
together.
And we ain't rehearsed that.
And that's why you see so many failed marriages. That's why you see the family as we know it is broken.
We gotta bring it back together.
The family as we know is broken. Mildred Taylor wrote a book saying, "Let the circle be unbroken." But until the circle can't be unbroken until there's a change in the narrative.
Yes.
There needs to be a shift. But that shift starts with this, having a conversation. Because my thing is this. I challenge you all at your dinner table with your kids, at your next Sunday school lesson, whatever. Have these conversations, because I bet it will unravel some stuff.
Well, one of the things is, like you said, black families don't talk about sex. We don't identify our bodies. We don't let our children identify their bodies. And what ends up happening is you have, like me, you know, growing up, you couldn't say your breast or your vagina or penis or this, and you couldn't say all of that. You get your teeth knocked out. But now you need to let these children know that you have breasts, and if somebody rub on your breast, you're going to get a sensation, and you get that little sensation. You got to say something. You got to have these conversations, because I'm meeting them younger and younger. I got pregnant at 14. I had my first abortion at 14. 14 years old. All because nobody took the time to let me know about this body. This body had been abused and everything from 8 on, and then here I am by 14, I'm pregnant. I keep meeting that little girl every day. And that's a sad thing. And they're getting younger and younger.
So what we gonna do about it?
We got to keep talking. We got to keep sharing. We got to let them know that we're here and we're willing to listen, to identify. I mean, there's so many grown women stuck because they don't know their bodies and stuff like that. They won't go get tested.
They don't think
it can happen to them.
They're scared. And the reason why a lot of people don't get tested in Broward County because of stigma.
Oh, yeah.
Stigma. My thing is this. The reason why we're number 1, not only in the state, but I think number 5 or 6 in the nation, is simply because of stigma. Because we still think that only people catching HIV are people who look like me, black and gay, black men of color. Black and lesbian, which is not true at all. We need to educate ourselves. And my thing is this: if you're going to be promiscuous and go out there and screw everything, know your options. Know something about PrEP, that you can get on PrEP. That you can. There's resources out there for you that you need to be getting tested. Oh, you say that you're free from HIV, but my thing is this: are you free from STs, STIs? And you know there's a new STD.
Oh God, don't tell me.
There's a new STD called sexual transmitted demons.
Spiritually infected.
You're spiritually infected.
Oh God.
You're spiritually infected. People are worrying about, no, you need to be worried, because people need to understand when you have sex with someone, you're transferring spirits.
Yes.
You're transferring spirits, so you don't need to just worry about HIV and hepatitis C and STIs. You need to worry about sexual transmitted demons, because the person who you're sleeping with.
Yes. Petty and Gay's own Hosanna4Youth exposed the conversation tonight. Y'all already knew it was going to go this way. I couldn't tell y'all who was on the way to get here.
I made it. I was late, but I'm here. I'm like God of Peoples. I may not be there when you want, but I'm right on time.
He came. Wait a minute. Hi, I survived. My friend and I was just talking about this. People need to get tested. Yes. You better say that.
Yes. Come to the Kiki Project, the Pride Center. The Pride Center in Wilton Manor. I will test you, honey. If you don't want to come because you don't want to be seen, I will come to you. I'll bring my kit and come. I'm certified tester and a counselor for HIV, AIDS. I will come to your house, honey.
Let me tell you, and I'm gonna say this. Me being a female, one of my things that when I go to the doctor, one of the things that I thought that you were automatically being tested when you go for your pap smears and stuff like that. That's not true.
Nope. You got to be requested.
That's not true. You meet somebody and they say, oh, I had to learn that you're not automatically tested. You got to ask your doctor. Be sure that you ask, hey, are you testing me for HIV? Are you testing me for STIs? Are you STDs? Are you testing me? You got to make sure you ask, because if you don't ask, they are not testing you. And then when you get tested, if they said they test you, ask them to see the results in the panel and all that stuff, so you can make sure it's on there. Because I'm going to tell you, honey, some of us walking around here, get tested, and then choose to live a life beyond. I mean, step into your thing, own it, and be like, hey, I'm going to still live and enjoy this life.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we have to do. And that's with the stories. That's with being a survivor. That's with whether you're tested positive or, you know, with HIV or STIs or STD. Don't allow somebody else's view of what you're going to define who you are. Wake yourself up every day and stand in the paint and say you got one more chance. And live. Take your medicine and live. And let that be it. It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. It only matters to who you tell that you have HIV or that you have STDs or that you got STDs. That's the only person that matters to, because we'll run them out. We'll run them. I'm a cusser. I'm sorry. Run them. I almost said run them out. I mean, but be a grown-ass woman about it and hold your stuff to yourself. Put on your makeup, dress yourself up, and go on about your business.
Because HIV, let me tell you this, HIV is not what it was. And HIV, you can live. Mm-hmm. The people who I mean, there's so many resources out there for people with HIV, with AIDS. But it goes back to stigma. Mm-hmm. It goes back to stigma. We're working on a project now. We're doing a calendar. And the calendar is entitled Faces of HIV. Mm-hmm. And because when you think of people who have HIV, they're skinny, look like they're frail and about to die. But these are people who you would never have thought. Because we think that, oh, you HIV, you have to look sickly, you have to look deadly. And we need to stop using this terminology that people, that if you don't have HIV, you're clean. Because what you're saying is the people who have HIV, they're dirty. We need to work on our usage of our words as it relates to this.
The same with how we're saying we need to expose the conversation about incest, molestation, and rape, and be clear about what's happening.
Clear.
Stop sweeping stuff
out the rug.
Let's make it transparent. Let's be just open and talk about some things. It doesn't have to be all bad. I mean, being a survivor or anything, survive, that means you overcame.
You overcame it.
Okay? That means you overcame. So anytime I have a chance to grace the throne with someone like Petty, I love him. I love him to pieces. Hey, I see nothing but stardom coming his way. And I don't know if you remember when you and I first met.
At church.
At church. Oh, yeah.
Yes, and I was at that church yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Last night. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I went to this church to speak, I connected with Ederick, and I said, ooh, you. I just said you. And I don't know if we connected.
I think we connected instantly.
I don't know if it was because our life or whatever was just the same.
We had kindred spirits.
Yes. And when I would see him out, I was like, oh. And then I'd be on social media. I said, I got to join you. I want to walk with you. I want to do, I want to whatever.
And this is what it's all about, embracing one another and supporting one another. That is what it's all about, because we in this thing together.
We in this together.
At the end of the day, I don't care what anybody say. We have to stick together.
I got one question for you.
Yes.
If you had, and I'm going to end the segment because I got a meeting when that take place, but I wanted to, if you had that 9-year-old boy that you had to encourage to tell, what would you tell that 9-year-old boy right now? Because you all do know that incest, molestation, and rape by a family member or trusted family friend is no longer something that happened to just our girls. It happened to our boys.
What I would have to tell that 9-year-old boy when I look in the mirror, because that 9-year-old boy is me, from 9 years old to middle school, being molested and taken advantage of, that you have the power is not in your fist. The power is not in your foot. The power is not in your hand, but the power is in your voice. The power is in your voice to go and tell. But the thing of the matter is, you have to be strong enough to be able to endure what's going to come forth, because what I endured after telling, and it was only a few family members that was just like, ugh, at me, because they didn't believe it, because they were like, well, you're gay, you probably liked it. You have to, you have, yeah, like really, yeah. But you have your voice is there's power in your voice, but you have to be able to withstand the trouble that's going to come your way, because you're going to probably be isolated from people. Thank God that it was just. And the people who did that in my family, they were distant. The people who didn't believe me, they were cousins. They irrelevant. They don't pay none of my bills.
I love it. Oh, I love it.
For those who have yet to tell their story, please, it's never too late. It's never too late. But before I did all of this, I wrote the person who raped me. Mm-hmm. I wrote him on Facebook. He never responded back, but I said, I forgive you.
Yeah. Number one. Wait. The number one, and then I really got to get off of this, because I was the number one thing first you got to do is forgive yourself. Second, forgive the other person. Third, choose to live.
Choose ye this day.
Choose to live. And that's where we come in with Hosanna. I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh, yes. I mean, my heart is just like, for every family member out there that's sitting in a position where you're looking and viewing and downgrading another family member for using their voice to tell about something they have been impacted by, shame on you. Shame on you.
You can look at me. I'm almost. But I thought I was about to say my age. Black gay people, we age gracefully. But I can honestly say that after all these years, after 20 plus years, I can honestly say that God was preparing me for some. The things that you need to, and I'm going to shut up, the things that you go through, you need to understand that some of the stuff that you go through, you're not going through it for yourself, but you're going through it for somebody else. Ha! So I had to just remember that. That's why I tell it wherever I go. Mm-hmm. I speak and I tell my story. Like the hymn writer saying, we about to go. This is my story, and this is my song. My story and my song may be different from you. We don't have the same thing, but at the end of the day, I'm going to tell it wherever I go, because as you're looking at me, you can know and be able to understand that you can overcome.
You see that? It's okay to tell.
Yep.
That's it. It's okay to tell. So, on social media, you can find Hosanna4Youth at HOSANNA, the number 4 in youth. You can also follow us on our website at www.hosanna4youth.org. You can contact me. My name is Angie Moss. I did not introduce myself at the beginning. You can contact me 954-962-6868 anytime. If you run into someone that this is their story, this organization is set up to be in the space to hold their hand through the process, because it's something so devastating for a person, no matter what age they are, when they find their voice. They need the support. And until we meet again, you all take care. Thank you. Bye.